minus 4 minutes. T minus 3 minutes. T minus 2 minutes. T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Yeah, look, black and blue lines. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lines. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, park catalytic. I think we got a hit. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lines. Yeah. Look, we got Prince Blue and Steph talking black and blue lives. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lives. Yeah. It's Steph and blue.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? What is up? This is a shit show. This what this is. This is the black and
Where'd your hat go, man? What the hell? You changed clothes on me like during the.
it's like this. I don't even know. This is the Black and Blue Lives podcast. I am Dr. Prince Blue. This is my homeboy Step. And on this podcast, what we do, we break down everything that's going on in policing when it comes to mental health, when it comes to breaking down viral videos. It can be anything from tactics to just a thought-provoking moment, groundbreaking cases, which we're going to get into today. What is going on, Step? What's up, brother?
Man, just your volume and stuff is really, really bad. I don't know what's wrong.
I don't know.
Like it's hard to understand what you're saying. It's like
You sound like I'm.
What happened to your high speed mic and your earphones? They not work?
I don't know. Let's see. Let's try it out. Let's see. You can hear me now?
That's better.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So the microphone works, but the headphones don't work. Welcome to live streaming. But yeah, so today I think what it is, what we broke down is we talking about officer created jeopardy. And we're going to get into what that means in a minute, but pretty much we're going to break down the trial of Officer Christopher Schurr. I know y'all probably like, who? Well, that's the cop that was charged with killing Patrick Lyoya. And we're going to talk about what that means for policing and justice. And then we're also going to talk about this trend of former cops who are making money, making headways, going viral, critiquing police ethics and police reform. But we want to know, is it really coming from a genuine place of them wanting to change, or are they being, what do you call, pick-me's? And I know, Step, you're very passionate about that because this is a topic that you picked, and we're going to break it down when we see the video. But first, I want to let everybody know I apologize for being late. We had some technical difficulty. Well, when I say we, I had some technical difficulties.
I was ready
to do it.
You're dragging. Come on, doctor. What the hell, man? You get your doctor degree.
This is what happens. You think that you can do whatever you want, but yeah, we're going to break down this trial and what does it mean, and then we're going to just get into it, what we always do. And we got some videos that we're going to critique because I know that you guys love that. You sent in a couple of videos that you wanted me and Step to look at, so we're also going to get into that. So
we'll also go to comment on the local thing going on.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to get into that because that is wild. But first, let's get into the Anthony Schurr trial, and we're going to play a short video that's pretty much going to break it down a little bit, and we're going to get your thoughts on it.
In reviewing body cam footage from the shooting, law professor and former officer Seth Stoughton said Schurr was correct in pulling over Lyoya initially. But once Lyoya began to run, he claimed Schurr made several unreasonable errors. Stoughton said he should have checked Lyoya's car for other passengers before chasing him. He said he shouldn't have used his taser at close range and should have given a warning before shooting his gun. For Stoughton, all of these hurt Schurr's claim of self-defense.
Regardless of what happens after, an officer can use a poor tactic that is officer-created jeopardy that creates an unavoidable and unjustified risk.
But Schurr's defense lawyer fought to exclude that evidence before the trial. Matthew Borgula said in a press conference he feared the repercussions it could have for future officer-involved cases and whether they would be afraid to use force when necessary.
This officer-created jeopardy is incredibly dangerous, not only for police officers who are asked to put themselves in dangerous positions, but for the community.
Criminal defense lawyer Randall Levine says it's mostly uncharted legal territory, and the courts are trying to catch up.
I think the law is developing based on what has happened in this country.
He says current Michigan law says a police officer's self-defense conduct is no different than anyone else's. Levine says it all comes down to whether Schurr reasonably believed his life was threatened.
Whether it's an officer or a private citizen, you can't do anything to create the harm.
Levine says it's unclear whether officer-created jeopardy will be ruled on by the Supreme Court anytime soon. He says for now, the bottom line is that policing is dangerous, and modern technology means police will have eyes on everything they do.
It's easy for people to Monday morning quarterback and to look at this in hindsight. That's not the reality of police work.
All right, Step. This is your baby. This is something you brought to me. Talk to me.
So this basically laid the foundation. Apparently, this officer stops his vehicle as a one-man unit, stops the vehicle, gets the guy out. There's a confrontation. A foot chase ensues. The officer pulls his taser out. The suspect grabs the taser, gets it away from the officer, attempts to use it on the officer, and the officer shoots him. So I don't know if we have a video of the actual incident. I know there's one out there. So you could Google it. If we don't have it, you Google it and see what happened. But we're focusing right now on what this was a prosecution expert witness who was he's a doctor, apparently a former police officer. I don't know how many years he served, but he's pretty prevalent on a lot of these cases. And he's always, for the prosecution, saying officers use excessive force. So he's bringing up the subject of officer created jeopardy. Well, let me give you an example of what a legit officer created jeopardy would be. If a suspect goes to the car, gets in the car, and I stand in front of the car, and the suspect tries to drive away, and I shoot him. Okay, so that could be considered an officer created jeopardy, which means I created the deadly force situation, right? So even though that use of force legally could be justified, but the courts look at it now as, well, I created the life or death situation, right? The guy's intention wasn't to harm me, it was to get away, but yet I put myself in a situation where I had to use deadly force to prevent him from hitting me, right? So ultimately, the use of force could still be justified, but the courts look at it, well, I created the jeopardy, right? So an example of not officer created jeopardy is using bad tactics, right? So I don't know the years of service this officer had, but the courts will look at what's the training, what's the experience level, how long has this officer been on, and just because you use bad tactics, right? So I don't understand what he's saying. The officer should declare the car for another person. He's there talking to the suspect, looking for full video, and it doesn't appear to be window tint. There's no one else in the car, right? So that's irrelevant. So the guy runs, right? What are we trying to do? We're trying to go out, unless you're in Chicago and you can't chase people on foot. You go after them, right? So it's not uncommon. Somebody's running, their hands are free, right? You go to the taser. So they're giving more verbal commands. The guy turns around, reaching towards the taser. So it's really hard to say the officer created jeopardy based on him pulling the taser. He can't control when the suspect stops and turns around and comes at him, right? So let's remember who's creating this deadly force situation or this incident to begin with. The suspect. The suspect's not complying. He runs away. He disarms the officer's taser. He attempts to use it on the officer and ultimately shot. And I believe he's killed. Tragic for all parties, right? So I don't know how they. This is, in my opinion, a totally political motivation prosecution left over from the 2020s. Let's go after police officers and charge them, regardless if his tactics were perfect or not. You can't say, well, he should have done this, or his tactics weren't perfect, or he shouldn't have pulled his taser so close. Well, what is the other option? So you can I would like to ask the expert witness who was a cop in Cincinnati or where it was for how many uses of force has he been in? I mean, him bringing up hypotheticals or what it reminds me of being in an IA investigation and being in a shooting and having 22 years of experience and being in multiple shootings and multiple hundreds of uses of force and reviewed uses of force and considered a use of force expert, and having people that's never been in use of force telling me how I should react or what I should have done in a perfect world. Like if you've ever been in a lot of these IA boards, you have a civilian witness that's
just a
like
bobblehead, doesn't know what's going on.
But they don't know. They're usually cop haters, and they hate the police, and they come at you. Well, you should have done this, or you didn't do this. And I'm thinking to myself,
who the hell are you?
You've never even read a book about policing. Yeah. So like you're telling me, I'm the expert. I should be telling you how you, but you have these people that's never done anything telling you how you should react. That's the vibe I get from this I know it's one of your people, Doctor. He's in the club, but it
he's
pisses
in
me
the
off.
club, but this is my problem with people like him. They get their notoriety. It starts off with, you know, them getting an officer with bad tactics that contributed to a bad situation. And they get that dopamine, they get that adrenaline, they get that notoriety, they get that money, they get whatever it is, that status of that. And then they base all their brand on that. And then you get situations like this where they're Stretch Armstrong reaching. He's trying to make it an officer created jeopardy thing when it clearly is not. And the problem is, you can tell, I think it started with Floyd and it's going to continue, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. You're going to have these people Monday morning quarterbacking, and they're trying to get these officers hemmed up on not mundane, but dynamic situations in policing where there is no clear answer, but ultimately what happened was justified. And now you got people, you're going to have officers out here that are not going to engage. They're going to get themselves hurt. Others are going to get hurt. You have videos now going around, going viral, where officers are literally getting their weapons taken from them and pleading for their lives to the suspects.
I've seen a couple of those.
It is wild right now. This is not officer created jeopardy. And even though that guy is a doctor and he's a former police officer, all that, that's just to show you that sometimes just because you're educated or just because you have degrees does not mean you're right on everything. And I'm not going to question his integrity or his intentions, but if that's honestly what he believes, I'm not going to go by opinion. I'm just going to say by the letter of the law and by the policy and his dynamic police work, that officer should not be on trial. Period.
No, absolutely not. So I was a supervisor. So part of my job is a supervisor. Plus, you know, not that I was a pretty aggressive police officer. But because I was always first on scene, right? I tried to get there first. I wanted to beat everybody there. So it just so happened that I was involved in a lot of uses of force. So as a sergeant, I had more uses of force as a sergeant than anybody else in my district as a sergeant. But it's because I'm everywhere, dude. I'm not tied up on call. So when something happens, I was there, and usually first, second on scene. And I'm not playing games with these yahoos. So I had to review. So anytime an officer was involved in use of force, I was the first line supervisor. I'd have to watch the BWC, interview witnesses, and make a determination. Nothing this doctor, former officer, brings up has anything to do with legally what now. The only thing that tactical suggestion, right? So if I'm reviewing this use of force and I'm looking at it as a supervisor, I'm going to review it. And then I'll give a recommendation. One was the use of force justified? And number two, what could he have done better? So we might pick out, hey, in the future, you know, kind of like a debrief. You could do X, Y, Z better. So it's not a criticize, because you know as well as me, if you have 5 officers involved in that same use of force, there's going to be 5 different things are going to happen. It's never going to be the same. So we have to look at, was it reasonable? Not did he do everything right? Not was he tactfully, was he John Wick and cleared the car and looked in the trunk and you know, pulled the taser with it too close. I've had to tase people. I'm fighting with them.
Dry stun, pulling the cartridge out. It's so dynamic.
It's just part of the business. There's no unwritten rule where you don't tase. Now, ideally, you want 5 or 6 feet of spread, so which allows the 2 taser, because people don't realize when you shoot the taser, there's 2 prongs that look like a fish wire that go out. So there's 2, and you want a little bit of distance,
right, to
make contact to bring the. So ideally, like if you hit somebody at the top and say the navel to get the most electric charge to decapacitate. So ideally, that's how they do. But sometimes I've had to you drive stun. We've been taught at CMPD where you find somebody, instead of drive stun, do a direct contact and pull the trigger, right? Because they're going to because drive stun is pain compliance. Well, even if you get a little bit of spread from a contact shot, you're going to get that involuntary compliance that you want. So it just upsets me. And like I said, it reminds me of the admin who don't know anything. So this guy's either a sellout for the money because he's always paid by the prosecution to prosecute cops.
Mm-hmm.
He's always critical of cops. I would like to know what his training experience is. Just because you have a doctorate degree and was a cop for 2 years, you don't have any street cred with me. Unless you've been there and done that, it's hard to judge what all officers do. And what is his motivation? Does he just not know? Did he never do anything? And I mean, I've worked with officers who had a year or two on, like, oh, I've never been in use of force because I know how to talk to people. And I'm like, no, you've never been in use of force because you don't do anything. There's a difference, right? So if you don't show up to stuff, and you're not driving code,
or you're always taking accidents, yeah.
To avoid. So what kind of officer was this guy? I'd like to know.
But
what
the funny thing about it is that, and then we're going to segue into our next topic, which is about these police officers that are getting their brand on, quote unquote, critiquing police. And I come across a lot of videos. There's a lot of prominent speakers out there. You sent me a video of one where he goes around, he drives around on a tour bus, but he's more pro-police, but he'll kick you in the ass if you're wrong. But he's more about, police and letting police know, hey, the job is hard, do your job, and then all the rest of figure his shit out. But don't be in midbrain with your life on the line, worrying about what an admin or what a civilian is going to think. And my problem with some of these guys that are doing it is they're not doing it in good faith. They're pandering to a part of the community that really doesn't care for police, regardless of if the tactics were correct or regardless if police are doing the right thing. And it's very lucrative because these guys they're pretty much funding these guys to go around and be anti-police. I've sent you and Nick have sent how many videos to each other where these people are talking bad about police and they know nothing about tactics. They're talking about, well, why couldn't they shoot him in the leg and this and that? And I'm like, do you know how police work goes? Do you know what arteries are in the leg? This is not Lethal Weapon. This is not Die Hard. You can't shoot people in the leg. You can't shoot in the air. You can't shoot the gun out people's hands. When you pull your service weapon out, it is to eliminate the threat. It's not to do some John Wayne type shit and get yourself caught up in something. Because guess what? You're responsible for every bullet that leaves your weapon. When I was in my shooting, I had to answer for the 5 shots that I fired. I had to talk about what was I feeling, what was I seeing, what was the situation, what was the weather like, what kind of threat was he still? So you had to explain every single round. So when you get some of these yahoos, these ex-police officers that are out here and they call themselves critiquing police, but they're really just pandering and being disrespectful.
Yeah, what makes them an expert? You have to be, unless you've done that and been there. In my shooting, I don't know. I was on my last match. I shot 32 rounds. The guy was shot, I don't even know to this day, 5 to 10 times. I don't freaking know because they never would tell me because they treated me like a suspect. But so my backdrop was in a townhome. So the guy's behind the car. He shoots my partner. We're shooting. There's OK corral. There's brass everywhere. 85 rounds, 82. I don't know. Over 80 rounds fired. Everybody getting shot. I mean, it's a freaking war zone. And they put me down, if you pull up the report, as a suspect for shooting occupied dwelling because one of those townhomes behind the back stop of the suspect, the bullet went in. People live there. And so I was actually put down as a suspect for shooting an SIOD, shooting an occupied dwelling suspect. So it was justified, but they had to put me in, which is be a felony, and they put me down as a
hold on. You went past it, but your partner was shot, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just want people to realize that your partner was shot in the chest. Y'all was returning fire to somebody that already. First of all, if you shoot a police officer, you've already proved that you don't give a shit about life. Like you don't. Right.
There's no de-escalation.
It's
He
done.
shot somebody else,
And
shot my partner
meanwhile,
right beside
you're a
me.
suspect in a shooting in an occupied dwelling because a townhouse got around.
It took, even though in everything he did, it took the DA over a year to clear me. So I'm a suspect for a year, and dealing with homicide when they come, because you got to walk through homicide, do all this stuff. They treat me like a suspect. I'm like, how many times have you shot? Oh, I don't know. I can't tell you that. I'm like, dude, I'm one of the good dudes. Like, can you actually, like, it blew my mind how I was treated, and I wasn't given any information. I couldn't see the BWC. I couldn't see, they wouldn't give me details of what happened. I mean, it was just like, and you know as well as I do. So to your point too earlier, I did 2 years on a SWAT team with another agency. I was over CRU, on CRU. We train with a SWAT every month. Like, we're attacked to like the SF of the police court, you know, like SWAT would be Delta Force, and we were like Green Berets or something. But we trained heavily in shooting, and we did all this stuff. And I shot hundreds all the time at the range. When you're getting shot at, and like, Blue, how far were you from your suspect? You shot 5 times and hit him once, right?
Well,
so
3.
I shot 32. Of course, my guy had, you know, cover and concealment, and it's a little different. And then people want you to shoot him in the leg or shoot the gun out of his hand. Okay, so I was shooting this guy from 10 feet away. He's behind the car, and I know I'm hitting him. He's still shooting at me. He stays in the fight. It's till his face got blown off before he
yeah, imagine if you're shooting him
fighting
in the quote-unquote leg.
What if I'm just shooting him in the leg? And then, I mean, how does that prevent him from shooting? People don't understand that. But none of those points that doctor brought up has any influence on the use of deadly force, right? Those are tactical concerns or debrief and in the future of the student. And that's what officers learn, right? But none of it have a bearing, especially on a criminal trial. It's irrelevant if he used good tactics or what. Was that use of force justified? Would an officer with similar years of experience do something similar? So that's it. They're paid to come in there and raise doubt, not a reasonable doubt to. It's not like officers are on trial and they bring somebody like me trying to explain why the officer did what he did. They try to, on the opposite. There's no probable cause to charge this officer. If you look at the letter of the law, I looked at the Department of Policy. They actually explain in the video. In the state law, they have the same rules we do. Almost all 50 states when we use deadly force, except for California, they're different. But he wouldn't be in violation of Department Policy. He wouldn't be in violation of state law. He definitely wouldn't be
glorified witch hunt. And to the people, to the police officers that's out there making their brand on quote unquote being one of the good ones, you're doing more harm than good, because you're teaching people that there is no circumstance to when police officers are actually justified in their actions. You're doing the Monday morning quarterback thing, and you're telling the public that there's always a better way to handle a situation, and there is no better way to handle a deadly force situation when your life is in danger, when you're being shot at as a police officer. I'm sorry, there's no de-escalation once a taser is taken from you and then trying to be used on you, because guess what?
Because people don't understand what happens if you tase me. If he tases me,
and guess what's available?
Yeah, so they get your weapon, they beat you. And I've seen videos where that's happened. The officer gets pepper sprayed, right? Same thing with pepper. If somebody gets my pepper spray and about to spray me, I'm going to shoot them, because I know that if they spray me, I'm not going to be able to defend myself, right? Same thing. So it's I mean, I'm not just, you have to articulate it, right? And Prince Blue and I are one of the first. If an officer screws up to the point where it's malice and it's unjustified, we're the first one to call it out. But we have to take into account officers make mistakes. You're making split-second decisions. That guy that Prince Blue had to shoot turned around. An officer's fighting this guy, turns around, pulls a gun, points at the officer. What is he supposed to do? We don't have time to time out. Where are you from? What's your background? Do you take mental health medication? You don't have time. In a perfect world, you don't have time. You don't have distance. There's no time to de-escalate. You have to, I'm going home. When it comes, I'm going home, right? So
that is it. And we'll be back after this first commercial break. All right, Step. And one of the things I enjoy about since we've been back is people are sending recommendations and people are sending videos to us. This next video, even I didn't know that this was a thing. And if this is not to show you why you quote unquote ex-police officers that's out here critiquing quote unquote police videos and saying how officers are wrong and they should be fired and how police culture is bad. Take a look at this video, and this is why you should really know what the hell you're talking about.
And this is your car?
Yes, officer, it is.
What are you doing in this neighborhood?
There's fake body cam footage spreading all over social media. This is actually becoming a major problem. As body cam footage has become readily available, it's also become very easy to stage incidents like this and pass it off as real police officers doing awful things. You see videos that spread all over social media, like this one with titles such as "Cop pulls over black judge and lives to regret it," or "Black female lawyer versus arrogant cop." It's a very disturbing trend because it does so much damage to public perception. Just read the thousands of comments on these videos. It literally just fuels outrage and misleads the public. We encourage you to be careful about the pages you're following. Believe it or not, a lot of them have no other motivation than getting views, and many of the law enforcement related accounts aren't even managed by actual police officers.
So, Step, when I saw this video, I said, you got to be kidding me. And you know what? The first time when I actually saw the video, the first thing that came in my mind was, what judge drives around in their robe? Like, as I know, as police officers, we're taught to not drive around in our uniform. We're taught to put a cover on. What judge drives around in their robe? So that's the first thing I noticed. But then when I realized that there are actually people that devote their time to creating this type of content, there's a special place in hell for you. And these are the type of things that are getting people in trouble, because when a citizen is actually pulled over by a police officer, they're thinking, oh, well, you pulled over a judge and you was wrong there, and it's a similar situation, so I can also be belligerent and not comply, and then you have a big issue.
Yeah, I saw one the other day too where and at first I thought it was real, but then after you watch it, you're like, either it wouldn't surprise me with the people they're hiring these days to fill the slots that someone might be this stupid, but it was a parking meter. And I've had this happen to my guys too. And so the beginning of it where they're getting a ticket in their police car for parking in a no parking area, right? So, but and I've had that happen to me, and I've had that to my guys, to these parking people try to give tickets to a marked patrol car because there are no parking anywhere on calls. It blows my mind that they would do that. But so at first I'm like, okay, that part I believe. But the officer walks up with a coffee in his hand, a Starbucks, and he's got a BWC on. I'm like, first of all, I'm like, why would this officer have the BWC on with his parking maid, right, walking up? But he's like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm giving you a ticket. He said, for what? You're not. He said, I'm on official police business. He's sitting there, the cameras.
That was awful.
His lingo. Yeah, his lingo and stuff. I'm like, is this guy even like? Then he goes back and he arrests her. Like, I'm like, what is he like? I'm like, this can't be real, right? So then it's fake, right? So you go, but I'm a cop, and I had to like second. I'm like, this can't be real, but it has the body camera logo and time stamp, just like the real police. It looks like real body camera, and if someone that doesn't know or unexperienced, they believe it, and they're like, oh my god, look what these cops are out here doing, and it can really come back and to your point, get them hurt because they think, well, this person did it, and they got away with it. This is what I'm going to do, and then they run across somebody like me or you, and it didn't go so well.
He walks up. What are you doing in this neighborhood? It's daytime.
Yeah.
She gets out with a whole black robe on.
Your Honor.
In a Honda Civic. Now, shout out to people who drive Hondas. I'm just saying, if you're a judge, that video was just all wrong.
And the actor,
I've seen better acting in you know what videos. That is awful. But
they're doing it to get clicks, to get their reaction, and it works. But the problem is the person who doesn't realize it's fake, they use that as a training video.
How they're going to act if an officer approaches them, and then that officer is like, "What are they talking about? Why are they talking about ADR-675 Carolina state law and we're in Louisiana? Like, what are they?" But these are the things that people see in these videos, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I got it. What? Well, you're violating my constitutional right, my AR-67-67," and you're like, "What?" Like, dude, I just want your license and your registration. Well, what right do you have to my license and registration? It's so baffling how it's people that literally are out here with no time on their hands, and they're creating these videos, and you're essentially going to get people hurt on a serious tip. So again, like the voice said, make sure these videos are ran by actual police officers, actual police departments, actual police organizations. Look at their content. If their content is 2 videos and that one is the most viral one, then you're going to see why they continue to do the same videos over and over and over and over and over. So just use your better judgment. We'll be back after this next message. All right, this next video, I'm calling this segment Walking T-shirts. And the reason why I call it Walking T-shirts, you're going to see after you see this video.
King David, shorty, where that pipe at? On BD, on King David, shorty, on BD, on King David. Let me see that pipe. Let me see that pipe, shorty, on BD. Where that pipe at, shorty?
Walking T-shirts. I call it walking T-shirts because that's what you people are going to end up on. You're going to end up on T-shirts if you keep playing these stupid ass games. You're going to win stupid prizes. Did you see the look on that officer's face? He didn't know what to do. He didn't know if it was. First of all, they touched him. That's assault. I hate to break it down to you, but that's assault. Even them doing this and putting their finger on his shoulder, that's assault. They're surrounding him. He has his back towards the tracks where, guess what? They can push him off the tracks. He can fall over, and then it's game over. Like, social media is going to ruin civilization as we know it, because the next thing you know, now, if he would have took out his service weapon and put all 5 of them on a T-shirt, we would have had pictures of how they was good kids, how they used to impersonate Michael Jackson when they were small, or Chris Brown, they look real young, and how they were getting their life together. They had a 2.2 GPA and all this other bullshit, when all they had to do is just mind your business, especially in New York. Those New York cops ain't got time for your bullshit.
No. And what do they have? 36,000 police officers in New York. So their retention level is really low. So I think it's something like they have like 1,200 officers a month or something during they were retiring or something. So they're hiring people.
He was
you can tell him he didn't know what to do. He picks up like before. He's not worried about his personal safety. He's like, let me call somebody and see what they know to do. And the problem is they do this with this officer and get away with it, and then it emboldens them, and then they post this on social media, and other people think they could do this. Well, if you do this to certain officers, it's going to be game on, and bad things that you don't get to come up and get in my face and start sticking your finger in my face and touching me. At that point,
if he would have took one and made an example of him, it was justified.
I would have punched the first one as hard as I could in the face, and it had been game on. But the thing is, now they set the standard, right? So let me give you a quick example. One day soon we'll review, because I have the BWC. I try to stop a car. The car takes off, right? High rate of speed. He pulls an apartment complex. Goes about 1.5 miles. It's just me and an officer. We stop it. We hold it at gunpoint. They try to get out. Stay in your car. Get your hands up. Show us your hands. We're holding it, trying to get other people there. There's 4 occupants. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna shoot me? What you gonna do? Cop, what you gonna do?" He's yelling at people to come outside. I'm like, "You better stay. If you come out, there's gonna be a problem, right?" So we get officers there. He tries to get out. I grab him by his hair, throw him down, handcuff him, get everybody out. Everything's good. Well, his first response to me was, "Well, I did this same thing a couple weeks ago, and they didn't do this." So I pulled up the body cam, and same scenario. The officer tries to stop him. Same spot. He goes up to home. He thinks he's at home base. He jumps out of the car. The officer gets out. "What are you doing? You're supposed to get in the car." Everybody else gets out. People start coming out, surrounding him. He's like, "Well, I need some units," but he didn't have command and control of the scene. So then what happens is he thinks he could do the same thing to the next officer. Well, the next officer's not playing games, and then it escalates because he thinks the first officer let me, and I need to get street cred, and I get home base. Now I'm at my apartment. You can't do anything to me because I got all my boys. And it could have got really bad, and it didn't, because thank God it was me, which had some experience into it. One of my street crimes guys that been on for a long time. But if you have some rookies there that overreact, it could have been a shooting. But because they think, well, I got away with it before. Why are you not letting me out of my car? Why are you being aggressive with me? So if you and I tell people all the time, if you have officers who don't take care of business, I'm not saying use excessive force. Do what you're supposed to do. Take care of business, and if not, it escalates to the next time. So now that video is all over social media, and these guys, well, I want to get hits too on social media. Let me go do the same thing. The officer, they're going to end up getting hurt, and the officers are going to get hurt. The suspects for being stupid are going to get hurt, and they're going to play the victim. But you can't allow that shit to happen. It blows my mind. Even 5 years ago, or say 6 before 2020, you never see this. Nope. You never saw this stuff happening. But now everyone's so scared of perception. They don't know what they can and can't do. And you and I have been there both. First time you get a justified use of force is in the back of your mind. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble, right? I mean, first thing you're fighting somebody, you're justified, but you're like, now I'm going to go to IA. I'm going to get in trouble, and that's what gets officers hurt. That makes them underreact, not use the correct amount of force to get hurt, or overreact, and create a liability.
Speaking
for the
of IA, Steph, you know how much I cared about IA. I wore Jordans to IA. I wore foam posits to IA, because this is my thing. And I said to say this, like you said, if you know what you're doing, if you know that you were justified,
oh, yeah.
Why are you worried about IA? They can try at the most if they let's say they do find something and do something. You and I both have seen officers who've come back with a vengeance, got written a check, came back, got better shift, got everything. You know why? Because at the end of the day, the law and policy is going to speak for itself. You may lose the battle, but you'll win the war. And I promise you, police officers out there, listen to me and listen to me and listen to Step good. Go home, do what you have to do to go home, and then let the chips lie where they may. But we don't want to be carrying you in pine boxes and doing end of watch ceremonies because you were afraid of an IA hearing, or you were afraid of perception, or you were afraid of going viral.
And I can tell you this. So somebody posted this. It's 100% true. IA is not there to protect you. It's there to protect the department. So the problem, IA is a good. They have to be there. We have to investigate our own, make sure we stay in line. There's officers that mess up, get fired, and go to prison. That should be right. So, and we don't take up for those officers, but remember the problem I have with more than half an IA that I've dealt with. They get a complaint, so they get a complaint. They don't fact find. They try to prove the complaint. Like, you knew you shouldn't have punched it. You knew. Like, I'm like, what do you? Because a lot of these guys, a lot of these guys were never cops. Some of them are really good cops, but the ones that good cops you don't have this problem with, is they try to prove the complaint because a lot of them were investigators prior.
They look at it as a game.
Okay, we got the elements. Yeah, we got a crime. Now let's try to get them with the crime. So a good IA guy said they fact find. Hey, what was your train of mind? What were you thinking? And what happened, right? So that's all. Their job is to fact find. Did you follow, number one, state law and department policy, right? That's the only thing they're supposed to do. But you have so many. Oh, well, you do that.
You cursed.
What are you talking about?
Well, you were angry. Well, you were upset. I'm like, well, we were fighting.
Of course, I was angry. The guy's trying to hurt me. Or of course, I can't get angry. I can't have emotions. So that's why it's so important. And people ask me all the time, if you have one recommendation what an officer could do that wants to be a police officer, what should they do? Know what read. It's boring, but you have to know what you can and can't do. Familiar yourself with state law, number one, case law, department policy. But don't get in the trap where you see these videos. It pisses me off, and I never play this game. I walk up the car, name and badge number. All right, hold on a second. They try to take control of stuff. I get paid to ask the question. Give me your ID. I'm not playing this game. I'll give you everything you need after it's going to be on the ticket I'm going to give you or whatever after the fact. But don't let them take control of stuff. Know what you can and can't do. It's Department of Policy, not law, that you have to give your name and badge number. When I say this is not Hawaii 5-0, we don't have badge numbers. But I'll give it to you when I deem before I let you go. And asking for a supervisor doesn't do a timeout on the stop. That's fine. I'll get you a supervisor once you give me what I need. It doesn't mean you stop name. You see the name and badge number.
I'm trying to figure out when did it become that we allow this is our scene. In more ways than one, this is our shit. Like, let us do what we do, and then we can get the supervisor. We can do all that cute stuff. We can play all the little games you want to play. But right now, because
you're gonna do what I asked you to do. I'm not letting them take
because check this out, Steph. While we're playing this game and you want a supervisor, meanwhile you got 8 warrants. One of them is for attempted murder.
He's hiding his dope, trying to get his gun. He's got time to think what he's going to do. So even Charlotte policy, you have by policy you have to give them the name and call a supervisor. It doesn't mean
stop doing police work.
What you're doing, go back to your car and wait for a supervisor to come. And I'll tell them. People like, you don't want my supervisor to show up because I'll get there.
I used to love when they would say, "Get my supervisor. I want your supervisor." Sergeant Step, somebody wants you.
Could you imagine having to get Jeremy Vanderbilt out of the office or something to come? So, but the thing is, no, I get paid to ask the questions. You're going to do what I tell you to, and then I'll give you my name. Nothing requires me to give it. As soon as you ask it, they call a supervisor. I'll get one in route, but in the meantime, you're going to do what I'm asking you to do, right? That's fine, but you don't let them take control of the stop. Do what you can and can't do. Be like, I'll give you that information, but you're going to give me your information. I'm not playing this game. And I would have people pull that all the time, and I'll just break them off. And sometimes I'd have to pull them out of the car and arrest them. And I love it when I was a supervisor. Like, I want your supervisor.
You got him.
You got him right here, baby.
Who do you want next? You want this deputy chief? But yeah, it's just it's walking t-shirts. Listen, if y'all want to be on a t-shirt, keep doing these stupid things. We'll be back. Well, Steph, I don't know if you've heard, but there's black fatigue, there's white fatigue. You know what? On Black and Blue Lives, we're going to start. I don't know if I want to call it cop fatigue or police fatigue. Which one you think we should call it? Police fatigue.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is why police fatigue is really starting to gain some trend. Now, I don't know if y'all saw that caption, but a Philadelphia police officer was shot in the stomach while attempting to break up a fight at Overbrook High School. High school.
That I've got that upsets me for this whole podcast. Speaking about my passion and passion, the thing is, look at what we let happen. How many fight crowds have we been to in the Belmont community? Or, I mean, you go there and it's like kicking over anthill, right? So there's just people everywhere and fighting. And if you don't have command presence and you don't take care of business, that's why it's so important. Things we talked about to be like, you show up and they're like, hey, that's Blue. We don't want to fuck with him because he's not playing games, right? So, because in the theory behind that is the fight crowd, you go to fight crowd and you're trying to break it up, they need to know not to try you. And the other thing is there's officer safety issues. If there's a big fight, dude, unfortunately, sometimes you have to let them fight. Use pepper spray or whatever, but get more units there. But it really goes against what you think you want to do is jump in. It's like two dogs fighting, right? So what you don't get between two dogs. Well, why? Because you get bit. Unless you have the proper resources there to control the fight, you use pepper spray or whatever. I don't know what happened prior to that. It could be where a lot of times we've ran into a situation where we're trying to arrest somebody and then we get jumped, right? So, or there's a big crowd and then it's chaos. So I'm not saying these officers do anything wrong because I don't know, but I'm just using some different scenarios. Is sometimes you got to fight. You don't have to let them fight. Use pepper spray, try to get units there. But once you go hands on, that's a very, very volatile, dangerous situation because that crowd could turn on you, which it did in the officer. I'm assuming it wasn't an officer's gun that went off. I don't know the background. I have seen that video, but I think it was one of the bad guys' gun went off. So.
And this is the thing, because now you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because you're like, well, let them fight. Let them tire themselves out. Let them take themselves out. But then you'll have people saying, well, the officers just let them fight each other. And the officers
You've seen that before too.
Each other.
But then if we use the force we have to, then we're heavily handed. So it's like what we would get working the high crime hood areas is, unfortunately, you need police in the high crime areas. So like for Charlotte and most major cities, most of them are the minority neighborhoods, right? So that doesn't mean everybody in the minority neighborhood's bad. It means drive around Ballantyne in Charlotte for 2 hours and try to find, maybe you get an expired tag or a speeder, right? So it's not a lot of stuff to do. You got your robbers, shooters, and all that stuff's happening. The drive-bys and stuff are happening in the hood. Those people need protection. So, but you have a segment of that populated, very little, and you know as well as me, so many good people in those communities. We use the Belmont community, for example, because that was the high crime area when you and I worked there. And there were good people in that community. Our captain, who was loved and respected, was from that community, had family members in that community, but they were scared to show support for us because that very few percentage that was the bullies. There was, I worked one shift. In one shift, I had 5 people shot in that, and that I responded to. In one shift, we had 5 people shot in that neighborhood in just a few hours. So and you get the mentality, if you're patrolling the area, you're harassing them, which is not true. If you're not there as soon as they need you, you're neglecting them. So it's a really hard balance to make. But unfortunately, high crime areas. These people getting victimized. They're getting the house broken into at a very high rate. You drive-by shootings at a much higher rate in these primarily in that it was African American neighborhood. Doesn't mean that people in that community are bad. It just means they need protection, because statistically, if we're not there and we're not in Ballantyne, you're going to have more incidents in that area than in Ballantyne. Ballantyne, they got their police. We make fun of the cops who work the South Park and Ballantyne area, but that's just kind of my pet peeve. You can't make them happy.
Make them happy, and like you said, officers have to take care of business when they show up. I guarantee you, they had a circumstance where they could have probably took two or three of them right off the bat, like cuffs, let's go. And normally when people start seeing cuffs on the other people, they're like, yay, I'm good.
Yeah, because to your point, just like the riots, we had riots in 16 and 20. What happens? It escalates because you don't let us do our job. You give them a little bit, and they take a lot, and they take a lot more, and then you have to use more force than you normally would if you would have put a boot in their ass in the beginning, right? So if you just take care, you got 2 or 3 people fighting. If you come in and just put hands on, put them in handcuffs, now it's escalated, and it's much harder to get those situations under control because you're not using the proper amount of force. And I've seen it in that video and other videos where, okay, 5 of us show up, 2 of us goes hands on, we're fighting people, and 3 people were just 3 officers standing, not doing anything because they're worried about.
I gotta write a report. Like I don't. If I ever see you standing there while me and some other officers going hands on, you and I are going hands on after that, because that is the worst thing you could do as an officer, is just stand by and let your fellow officers get into some stuff, and you could be helping. And speaking of that, Steph, I got this another video where I want to show you. It's twofold here. It's the whole gender issue in policing, about women being police, and it's about physical fitness, physical readiness, and the mental capacity to keep going when you feel like the fight should have been over, but it's not ending.
Oh shit, it's real out here. 2 girls, 1 guy. Let's see. I be wanting to help, but two girls, 1 guy. 2 girls, 1 guy. 2 girls, 1 guy.
Pay attention to this ending right here, Steph. Watch this. This is what you and I was talking about. Look at her standing there. She's tired. The fight is not over. The fight is not over. Look at her. Look at her. She's sitting there. Standing there. Look. She walked out of frame now.
Yeah, she was obviously gassed. And another point is that shows you, on a whole different topic we won't get into, but men and females aren't created.
No, we are going to get into it. We are going to get into it.
Yeah, it's not. So they could be squared away and know what they can and can't do. The problem is physically, you got one dude who's some wiry looking dude, and you got 2 trained officers who are having problems. Not hit them. They're females. They're limited what they can do physically with their strength, right? So not bashing on them, but the fact that you're in a job that's physically demanding, that you have to be prepared. So I tell people all the time, I've worked with some good cops. Jean Moran, who's one of the best cops I've worked with.
Shout out to
female,
Jean.
Right? So
I remember Jean.
Every time I needed her, I'd be on the way home, get behind a stolen car and jumping around. I'd get more shit on the way home or going to work than that would at work. But dude, it was like she came in flying with. Every time I was going through the area, she would show up in a cape and help me. She had the mindset, she had the knowledge, she could deadlift more than me. She had the physical capability, the mindset, knowledge, and was a good damn street cop, right? So I would rather her back me up than 95% of the cops in Charlotte. And she was a female. You can't say that a lot about the females because you say what you want. Men in a physical conversation, men and females aren't created equally. It just happens. She was gassed. Stay in the fight. Just because it's not tag team.
Yeah, she literally stood there.
Like she was done, and then I've got to finish her fight.
And you
grab a leg.
And I don't know if you caught it, Steph. Did you see when the two male officers came in, one went for the legs? Get the legs. You have to grab something. They came in, and so, but you have to have. We talked about 100 times training. You have to have the physical ability and the mentality, right? Sometimes, I mean, I'm a pretty big dude. You're a big dude. But I've fought people before. I'm like, oh shit. Especially when that adrenaline's going and they don't want to go to jail, and they was each trying to grab them up top. Men are strong in their upper body. Like,
oh yeah, yeah. And so there's always somebody stronger. So you have me and you, and we could have the same problem with a dude, or maybe even a female. Some of the hardest fights I've been in, the female grab by the dudes had hair, or females. I'd grab by the damn hair. They could do it in the NFL. Why? I'd grab them and just control the head, control the body. But it's harder than people look. And that's a perfect example why people's like, well, why did it take 4 officers to get this guy on the ground? It's hard. Good luck.
And then you got to make sure you fall the right way. You can't be rumbling all around, and then because guess what's exposed? Your duty belt is exposed. So you got to know what you're doing.
Every time we're in a fight,
you got to know what you're doing. You're the one with everything to lose and nothing to gain. They have everything to lose and everything to gain. So you got to do that. But the thing that bothered me on that, number one, the guy that was recording, I should help, but that was annoying as shit. Know, but when she stopped fighting and she watched them, the guy was not in custody yet.
Had her back turned. Yeah, had her back turned like,
it's not
like
done.
It was done. It's not done yet. Stay in the fight. It's different if you need crowd control and somebody's got to communicate, but I think it appeared like she was just gassed and like,
even if she got on the radio and said, "Hey guys, we still fighting them. We still fighting them," and then get back in the fight, good. But when you let that pressure off of him, he has an opening now. You already see they're struggling with 4 officers. That 5th officer may be the advantage that you need, and she just gave up. I was so disappointed, and I hope she uses this video as a teaching tool.
Grab a toe. Grab
something. Get better. Get better tactics. Get stronger. Get in better physical condition, and get back in the fight, because that was just awful. You cannot quit. Don't quit. You
can't quit in the middle of a fight.
You remember Red Man? Like, don't quit. Just keep fighting.
I've been tired. I've been fatigued. I've been punching people, getting punched. It's like, God dang, I'm tired. You don't freaking quit. You die if you quit. You lose. You can't quit. That's not quitting's not an option. Grab something.
I couldn't have said it better myself. We'll be back with our last segment after this next message. So we're going to now talk about our neck of the woods, our former department, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, where well, not ours because we no longer work there, but Chief Jennings is in a little bit of a hot water because they have now a North Carolina auditor is going to investigate $300,000 that was allegedly given to Chief Jennings for a settlement in which him and a city official got into it over text messages, and he was going to sue the city for distress about him wearing his vest backwards, or him not giving officers tactical vests, and the city council pretty much got into it with him over text messages, and in one way or another said, hey, I'm going to ruin your career. You don't want to make an enemy out of me. And he wanted to go to the city with that, and they settled on $300,000. Am I giving the gist of it, Step?
Yeah, and the exchange of text messages has been released. There's nothing on there that warrants anything, to anything. What you do is a slap in the face to officers that were, look at you, who were permanently, you were almost killed in that car wreck, right? You've been involved in shootings, you PTSD, and so when we go to the city for workers' comp or PTSD
at like
or
40%,
injuries, if it's physical or if it's mental, they come. Oh well, we're not going to work with you. Like we've given our lives and livelihood to this profession and to the community, and it's a literally slap in the face to what they offer you. Oh, we'll give you like $2,000. I mean, they literally. I was diagnosed with severe PTSD, had to medically retire. People know that from shootings and 22 years of being a cop. And they literally started at like $2,000. We'll give you $2,000. And I'm like, I need counseling. I need all this stuff. And that's a slap in the face. This leader comes to said, oh, you hurt my feelings. You threatened to, if we don't give officers a tool, which is an outer vest, because he didn't like to look too militaristic, but it reduces the officer injuries and back problems, and it boosts morale, and it's good for the officer, and it makes sense tactically and everything to have where everything is. He don't want to do that because he cares more about perception than he does about his own officers. And then you got a council member who stands up for the officers and be like, no, these officers deserve this. They need it. It's a medical concern for them not to have it. And oh, you hurt my feelings because you said you told me you were gonna make me look bad, or whatever. So did he get $300,000 like that? Just like, oh, here you go. I mean, what a slap in the face of these officers I've had friends with CMPD who've been shot in the head and permanently disabled that get less than that. Or permanently,
they're getting $1,500 a month.
And you just wrote this dude a check for $300,000. You're supposed to be the leader, and he could have taken that first situation we talked about in a couple seasons ago with the vest or backwards. It shows you how out of touch he was. He could have
laughed at it
and made it positive, laughed at it like but instead his ego was too damn big, and you don't make fun of me. He moved the lieutenants and everybody got moved in the district because they didn't come out there, and they did an intense
to find out who gave them photos,
to find out who made fun of them and who made them. It's ridiculous. You got officers and officers like, hey, well, maybe you see how busy we are. You check out on a PD only, property damage only in your neighborhood, a wreck. And you get mad because you have to stand there for 45 minutes because there's no one available. With your vest on backwards. So this would be like, oh, dude, we're worked. You're in a district, Still Creek, Adam 1, which is 62 square miles. There's no one available at 4 p.m. because everyone's on shootings and robberies. You have to do the only police activity you probably had to do in 15 years was stand in direct traffic in a neighborhood for 45 minutes that you chose to get out on.
He had a prime opportunity to really turn that into a win. He could have been like, well, now I see how busy you guys are. I had to stand out there. It was so busy. I was so flustered that I had my vest on backwards. He really owned that moment.
No, he let his
ego get in the way, and he was really upset that people made fun. How many times do people make fun of? How many times do people make fun of me to this day about me shooting an alleged victim?
Well, you and like
we make fun of ourselves all the time. We don't get $300,000.
No, man, it's just a slap in the face. The hardworking police officers at this department who sacrifice every damn day lose their family, how many divorces, how many mental health
How
issues.
many officers are killing themselves working off duty?
Killing themselves at this freaking job, and you're complaining and bitching because a council member is trying to fight it, stand up for the only person that's standing up for the officers of the city council. There were two city council members that they're pro police, and he was one of them, and he hurts your feelings, so you soon get, and they just, $300,000. Well, that's the way they reward the chief for being, they wanted it. We knew from the very beginning when he got in, they wanted a yes man, right? So I have nothing, no one I've talked to has said anything negative about the Chiefs. I don't know him personally. I've spoken to him briefly in passing and stuff, but no one said like he's just a douchebag. I'm not saying his personality, he seemed like a nice guy, right? But the problem is he's a sellout. He is, they put him in place so they could control him, right? So
that's why
Putney didn't put up
Putney,
with that shit.
and shout out to
wouldn't put up
Putney.
with
He's
that.
now running Novant Public Safety, so they're going to be pretty good with Putney in charge.
Oh, he's a good dude. He wouldn't put up with it. He took care of his officers. If you do the right thing, he takes it up for you. I've seen it firsthand, time and time again. They wanted somebody that they could control, and this was, in my opinion, a reward. You've been good. You took a knee. You put your hand there. You were decisive. You took the side of the protesters, and all
Here's
the stuff
a way
that
to
he
get
did.
you
This is their reward. This is not your reward. Yeah, you got your feelings hurt. Well, okay, I'm sorry. My friends are getting shot and killed, or killing themselves, or getting shot in the head, or getting shot and disabled. What are they? Do you think my partner who got shot in the chest got anything for getting shot in the chest? Do you think he got $300,000? You think he got half that or a quarter of that? No. It pisses me off to no end. Shame on him. And the FOP, I actually have, before they've been they've always been good, right? But they for obvious reasons, they've been they didn't want conflict right now, but they got a good crew in there that stood up to the chief. It backfired on the president now for standing up to the chief, or actually the department, not the chief in particular. And he ended up getting 40 hours off for releasing a statement through the FOP about the department. And when the officers last April 29th were shot and killed, I think that was the 29th of April, right? I'm not sure, but last year when they were killed, and the FOP came out with a statement, and he ended up getting 40 hours off for some bullshit. And so they're coming out and fighting for the officers. And the problem is most of those people there now are active officers. Now they get retaliation. So they stand up with the chief of the department, and they're getting retaliated against, and for not violating policy, but for now hurting feelings is unbecoming conduct.
And you know what? And I'm just going to end it on this. We need more people to stand up and get this stuff out. Share these articles. Make it be known. Do what you got to do. We need former officers. We need current officers. We need everybody to fight against this, because this is ridiculous, and this is a slap in the face to the hard work that you men and women are doing out there. But I just want to let y'all know, long as me and Step are breathing and we have this platform and we're able to talk and we're able to communicate, we will make sure that we fight the good fight for y'all. And that's and we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that you guys get the help and get the resources that you need. So Step, let everybody know where they can find you.
Step 2223 on Instagram. TOG4280 on TikTok.
Good job. And you can find me Real Prince Blue on all platforms, or let's say Dr. Prince Blue or whatever, in the black and blue.
Did you change it? Is it Dr.
Yeah,
Prince
on most
Blue
of
now?
them it is. Only Facebook won't allow you to change it, but it's
I like how you introduced me now. Like, I'm Dr. Prince Blue. This is non-Dr. Step.
This is Sergeant Step. And you can find Black and Blue Lives on all the social media platforms right there. Thank you everybody for listening, and please keep the videos coming. Whatever videos you want us to break down, we will break them down. I appreciate y'all so much. Thanks, Pat. Thanks everybody for the comments. We will see y'all next week, and everybody be safe. Take care of yourself. Any resources you need, please don't be afraid to reach out to us, and take care of yourselves. And we will see y'all next week. Peace.
Yeah. Look, black and blue lives. Yeah. That's a new vibe.